Well, welcome back, everyone. I'm with two very special guests today. My only sister, Mary Elizabeth, and my only mother, Mom Arndt, Cathy Arndt.
Cathy.
Yeah, we're in the hallowed area of the kitchen. There's been so many meals made here. Just think of how many over the years. Today we're going to be talking specifically about cooking, as you probably saw in the title there in the thumbnail. Later we're going to talk about Thanksgiving specifically, which is only a few days from now. And this is like ground zero for the pies. And in fact, we're going to be saying how many pies total were made. I guess it was last year. And we'll tell you that later. But in the meantime, put your comments, take your best guess. We'll see who's closest to being right. Anyway, I wanted to first just talk to Mom a little bit about the early days of cooking in such a huge family. Could you kind of walk us back a little bit how it was from the beginning, just cooking in a big growing family?
Well, actually, in the beginning, it was kind of hard on me because I came from a family of 10 kids, and it was hard to make such small meals, just for Paul, and then Paul and John, and Paul, John, and Mark. And so I actually kind of liked it. By the time we got to 5, it kind of felt like, okay, I had adjusted to lower meals, and then, it's been growing some. So that was good. And they were little, they weren't eating that much. Now, back then, all they wanted to have was whatever food with ketchup. They'd have their green beans with ketchup. It was awful. And, hot dogs, you had to slice them just right. And it was a trick, if you accidentally slice them and cut them up too far, they're no longer Pac-Mans, but then they turned to watermelons, but they didn't like watermelon hot dogs. So it was a trick, but it was fun.
Do you remember when John, well, I won't go down the whole rabbit hole, never mind, but I was going to talk about the ketchup story, but I don't want to get too far off.
I'm not sure about the ketchup story with John, except that he doesn't like it.
I guess we could tell. People are going to wonder now.
Which story?
What? Oh, it's just remember when you told John ketchup was the most healthy for him, and he just immediately stopped having it right there, and claimed he never liked it.
Right, and that up until then he was having ketchup on everything, and overdoing it. It's like, honey, ketchup's good, but you can overdo it. You don't have to have quite so much. And he has cold turkey stopped. That was it. No more ketchup. I don't think he's had a drop since. Now on a whole bunch of other very unnutritious things, that doesn't seem to work.
Yeah. Well, it goes without saying the money was very tight when we were growing up, and one thing I was going to ask too is something funny.
You invited her. Can you behave?
But anyway, one thing I was going to ask that people ask a lot is how do you afford it growing up for cooking for so many?
Yeah, well, we did a lot of shopping at Sam's. In fact, back then they used to deliver to the house, which was wonderful, and you just had to watch. We've always had mostly chicken or ground beef, and a lot of noodles and things that little kids like. But would you behave? I try not to laugh.
Someone makes a noise and you melt down. You should be used to noises in this house by now.
Yeah. I know. I think that's what's wrong. It's actually kind of quiet.
I think it's because I have nothing to do. I'm just saying you guys are talking.
Hey, you'll get to talk soon. You'll get to talk soon. But
I think I have nothing to distract me because I keep thinking of the funny thing with the ketchup story. And then there's no other thoughts.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's funny, you weren't even there.
I know. I hadn't heard the story.
That's right. I remember where we were. It was in the kitchen on that glass table. It was actually an exterior table.
It was.
That money was so tight that was our kitchen table.
Yeah, someone gave us a metal wrought iron painted white table with glass on it, which actually I felt was kind of dangerous, though it probably was tempered glass.
Yeah.
But that was all we had for our table.
I was going to ask, I know we mostly had a lot of Sam's Club, big value meals and everything. Sometimes we would eat out though. What were some of the exceptions, the times we'd eat out? How did that work? Did we watch for $1 sandwiches? And that's what I remember.
Yeah, well, on Sundays, Long John Silver's had a deal
where,
and for 99 cents, a child would get 2 chicken planks, French fries, and some kind of little snack, and maybe a little drink. And for 99 cents, that was wonderful, but they had to be all in the same family, and you had to have the parents there. Well, Rick and I really honestly didn't need to get any meal for us because you guys couldn't eat quite that much food. But we still would, of course, because we felt kind of bad about that. We didn't want to put them out of business, but we would just, every Sunday, that was our big treat. We'd do that, and we'd drive around dreaming of someday buying a lot in the country. And so, but that, some real special memories of that. And we went to Bonanza, they had a penny a pound, and you guys were quite a bit smaller then.
Until we went there.
Yeah, something changed. I'm not quite sure why, but now I don't think we'd want to do penny a pound. But it was a good deal for our son.
Do you remember the Long John Silver's at Mary Elizabeth? I guess that was a little bit before your
No,
time.
I mean, obviously I remember going to Long John Silver's, but no, not those days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was in the west, in the west end of Belleville.
Right, and other than on Sundays when they had that deal, we couldn't go there. It's just too pricey. But then if I was having a baby, my sisters would bring over Long Johns for you guys. And so while I was in the hospital,
And sometimes after church, when we went to the church and about 20 minutes from here, we'd go to McDonald's there, and we'd get dollar sandwiches. I remember John would get like a 44-ounce milkshake for like $2 even. You get like a 44-ounce milkshake, and that was like his meal. So
Well, he got that instead of the drink. He said
instead
he
of
would
the
get
soda,
the meal.
he'd upgrade that.
Yeah, instead of like the unhealthy Dr. Pepper, he'd get a 44-ounce milkshake.
At some point, things started moving along to where we were old enough and we could start helping with the cooking. And Mary Elizabeth, I know, has been very involved, all the more these last so many years. And when did that start? Or I guess I'll ask Mary Elizabeth first. When did you first start like doing any kind of cooking, or like was it something you? Do you remember how it started?
I mean, I just know. I always talk about the story. I remember in Williamsburg when we were at a vacation house, I think I was allowed to make scrambled eggs for the first time, and I thought, like, well, it's the first time I've actually cooked something. And from there, I think it just was something I always liked doing. And then I think I got opportunities too, because it was always, okay, it would kind of be a hierarchy. Okay, the next person, when you got old enough, you'd start helping with meals. And so I think I just kind of fell next in line, because a lot of the guys, almost everybody above me has cooked meals.
They all wanted to make chocolate cookies. They'd all make the dough and they get sick eating it and not clean up the mess. And it was really striking to me when it came to her. She made cookies and she cleaned up the mess. It's like, okay.
She's a girl.
She and I understand each other.
I assume all of us at one point or another, some more than others, did some cooking. But some majored in it more, where there was, in a way, like it was like maybe one of us be mowing the lawn and somebody else would be more like making chicken planks or making whatever meals for the kids. So who was the first one to do that? Do you think Philip maybe?
No, actually, Luke was one of the first ones to do any cooking outside of me.
Okay.
And then Philip. And Jude had to different times. Like we were
I
building.
Jude
Jude
too.
did a lot.
He did a lot. And then Philip got real interested in it.
James did a
for
lot
a while.
of grilling and stuff.
James
A lot of-
always liked grilling.
And just cooking in general.
And then Nathan's gotten into grilling, and he's in smoking things. And of course, he makes really good chicken and dumplings. That's still better than I think I can make.
Definitely.
And definitely, well, thanks a lot.
Oh, you always say better than me.
Yeah.
So I thought you were about to say that.
Well, definitely better than her. More than likely better than me too. But and then now here you're doing so well, and Mary Elizabeth's had a chance too, because she stayed with the job. One thing that I think really stood out about you is that you would take our leftovers and turn them into something good. And a lot of the guys are all leftovers, you don't want.
That came from necessity.
Yeah,
Just
I
like
know.
because people would be coming, I'd hear, like especially when we were cooking for the Mennonites up in New York, I'd suddenly hear, okay, in 10 minutes they're coming up and they're hungry, these big Amish Mennonites. And
I've been working hard.
I thought, okay, like I don't know what I'm supposed to make. It's always like just find what's in the fridge. Okay, I'm making the chili, rice, casserole with biscuit topping on top.
And they loved it.
And they loved it. So
Yeah.
it became a new
it
recipe.
helps. And that is one advantage with having a bunch of boys who are just glad they don't have to cook any food that's ready, and a bunch of hungry Amish men. It's kind of like, hey, they're not that picky. They're not gourmets. And then you kind of find out what, then you get a chance to taste it. It's kind of like, I could have done a little oregano in here, or I could have added this. Right, but you've got victims to do it with who are very appreciative.
We can't say exactly what the future holds, of course, when like Mary Elizabeth has a family of her own and everything else. But as of right now, of course, you, Mom, are just in the next room doing some of the bookkeeping and various things that you're connected for the business.
Like everything, all the like sister-in-law activities or mother-in-law
so many,
things.
Like,
so many.
Yeah, the
kind of being the
constant
ambassador.
Baby showers, constant weddings and engagement showers.
Yes.
And then Mary Elizabeth, of course, is nearby, and one of her big roles for the business now also is helping cook. Does it feel to you a little more like it's becoming like a bed and breakfast, almost like a private bed and breakfast? Is that,
it
or
does.
maybe Mary Elizabeth, both of you probably have thoughts on that.
It does sometimes. It's kind of like we always had to have something ready, and it's just a good idea. You think ahead and you think, well, if I make a whole lot of cookies, I'll have those ready. But the thing is, if you make a lot of cookies, they'll get gobbled down.
Right.
So it's really hard to You just have to be ready. You have to have plenty of food.
I've used strategy sometimes, like blackmailing. Like our strategy, like I'll say, if someone happens to see the cookie dough I'm cooking, I'll say, okay, don't tell anybody, but you can have some. But like, I know, okay, if I let one person have it, it's okay. But then if everybody comes and takes it, there won't be any cookie dough left. So I try to like, I bribe them, okay, like just don't tell anybody else, but you can take what you want.
Well, when you guys were little, you'd be around the island or wherever I was cooking, and you'd all have your own spoon, and you each got a taste, you know, before I put the eggs in.
Yeah.
So, and that was kind of like, okay, now you have to help roll too. And then you also have to help taste the cookie when it's done. As long as they know they're going to get to taste one, they're rolling and doing their part.
Yeah.
And the very best part was at the end when the lucky guy would get to lick the bowl, or have like even the beaters for the
mixer.
Mixer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we were really blessed that day, then it'd be like loaded with all sorts of like you wouldn't do a real good job of cleaning.
On purpose,
on purpose.
Yeah. Right. They
leave us a lot.
It's a lot easier. You can scrape the bowl real good, but that's not as much fun.
Yeah.
And then I usually scrape it after the kid thinks he's done, and there's still a lot there. And then you show them how much more there is.
Yeah.
It's easier on dishes too.
Since I have you two here, and of course you've been so involved, especially Mom, over the years, just so many meals and just leading the whole thing. Yeah. What did you always enjoy cooking, like going back, or was it just out of necessity that, of course, when you love your family or love the kids, you do anything for them? But was it something you kind of enjoyed?
Well, I loved baking. When I was growing up, I took a cake decorating class. And so Mom just put me in charge of all the baking for the family, which was a lot of fun. And I got to really fuss over the cakes and make them look like wedding cakes. And it was kind of fun.
And you came from a family of 10, of course.
Yeah, there were 10 kids in our family, and Mom was glad to have that offer. But she really didn't let us cook. She always did the meal, which was nothing wrong with that. But I had to kind of start from scratch learning cooking. But there are a lot of easy things you can make. You can roast a turkey. You can open up a can of green beans and corn.
It was easy to please. You just like do meat to that thick, like a pizza.
I know. When we first got married, he was on that no carb or low carb diet. And he wanted, what was it?
Was it like
breadless pizza.
Okay, yeah.
And so it would be ground up beef, a lot of cheese, and sauce, but no pizza dough. And he just gobbled that down like crazy. He had quite an appetite.
Mary Elizabeth, for this era, how is it, since you've been doing a lot of cooking just recently, and kind of for the business too, or for the extended family and everything, what is that strategy like for you? Because it's got to be kind of tricky, because some days you might have 3 people here, and other days you might have 40 people here.
It's been an adjustment definitely for me with not having everybody living at home, because I used to count on, I knew exactly how much to cook for, or generally could make extra, and but now it's like that, where anytime some in-laws could come in or so I kind of try to, one thing I do is I post in our family group chat every time, okay, we're having this for supper, and sometimes I can kind of tell, or I know, okay, this is a popular meal, or like this, they might tell us, they're coming over.
Sure.
So, and I've gone to know, okay, well, this meal's generally popular, it gets eaten leftovers, so I can make a little extra. Right. But then other ones don't reheat well, so I'll, if anything, make less, and just, they'll eat something else if more people come.
Yeah.
And I have some backup meals that I can quickly throw together.
Yes, that's a trick.
Because I have frozen shredded chicken that I can quickly make a meal with if I need to, or sliders.
Bunch of chicken ready, then you can make a meal real quickly.
And you and Mom are so much like the heart of the home and the business. And so you have, of all people, have a sense of like where everybody is.
Sure.
So like roughly you might know, like, these 3 are in Kansas City, these people are on their honeymoon, these are whatever. That's what it's been a lot of lately.
I know.
And so that you probably get a general sense of when there's, it's going to be one extreme or another.
But it is interesting that a lot of our single sons happen by right about supper time.
I've seen that happen.
I know, isn't that amazing?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Where they have a brand new kitchen.
It's disgraceful, really.
Oven, I know, and I don't know if they've ever turned it on.
Yeah.
Well, come to think of it, maybe we should change this interview to asking you.
Yeah.
How many meals have you cooked
that's not
at
how
your
it
place?
works with the corrupt media.
So we're not going to mention any names.
No.
Do not mention Paul's name.
And they have the most beautiful kitchen too. I think
it's
always so clean, it's because they never use it.
Yeah, I made some egg beaters the other day. It was
on a griddle.
Really good. This griddle,
that
that's
flat
like
thing that you plug in.
frying pan.
Well, there's our frying pans, but there's griddles, that flat thing that you put a plug in.
Oh no, this is I guess you call it a frying pan.
You actually use a frying pan. Wow.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I greased it up and then put some egg beaters and
what you grease
put
it
some
up
turkey
with?
on top.
Auto grease or?
Some avocado oil, I think it's
Okay.
called.
Oh,
That's okay.
avocado
Pretty
oil.
fancy.
Wow.
Wow.
Gotta be
Yeah,
organic, you know.
Yeah, Mark got it actually. There's but yeah, so I put some of that in, and so I've done a little bit of
Yeah.
stovetop cooking.
Yeah, and I bet you've done some microwaving, some serious microwaving.
Yeah, I've done some
popcorn,
occasionally.
hot dog.
When I'm out of protein bars.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was
I'm
going
glad
to
you come over at supper time. You get
Yeah.
a decent meal.
and you led into my next question. I was going to ask, what are some favorite things that I ask Mom to take turns? What are some favorite things you like to cook, or you like cooking over the years? Would you say like desserts or
Yeah,
any particular
desserts.
meals?
I like making desserts. It's
Like
fun. It's
lasagnas.
always popular. Lasagnas, yeah.
Yeah.
I've liked about all of them. I like making a lot of things with baked chicken.
When we were really small, you would have more like maybe a bunch of chicken planks or things
Right.
that little kids would.
As I was
Yeah.
learning how to cook too.
Yeah.
We could get chicken patties or chicken planks from Sam's, and it'd be a much easier meal. You could just put that in the oven along with some French fries, and
Oh yeah, we loved that.
and
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
you guys had that, and then you had to have some green beans.
Yeah.
But you know, it's really hard to get kids to care so much about their figures or their
Sure.
or
Yeah.
their nutrition. You know,
Her French toast is always the
Oh,
favorite,
yeah,
of course.
yeah.
that was
Yeah, can make
yeah,
it.
especially you and
Mark.
especially liked them nice and gooey, lots
Yeah.
of egg. And I it just would soak it longer.
That's
and then
definitely
John
my-
had to be
yeah.
dry. I barely let anything touch it. And then it's mostly like toast for him.
Yeah, those are my definitely my
Yeah.
favorite meals. Other than your desserts, which you I kind of associate you with like just epic desserts, just like
Yeah.
just
I don't know why you guys got
counters and
chubby.
piles.
Well, yeah, that's at the holidays. But yeah, Mark,
Yeah.
he told me that the reason he gained weight because he said, "Oh, Mom hardly ever makes this meal, so I better eat a lot of it." And then the next day, "Oh, Mom hardly makes this meal,
Yeah.
and so I better eat a lot of it."
Try a variety.
And, yeah, and I did a whole variety, but he always, you know, just ate a lot of each one. You know, he
Yeah,
didn't really
definitely.
didn't have to do that.
One of the things you do for the family business, among many other things, is helping with a lot of the meals. With everybody getting married now and grandkids and everything, how has that changed with the strategy? I know it's always kind of evolving.
Well, since we run our businesses in the home, it's just natural that, just like a secretary, you need they might be bringing in bread co sandwiches, like you need somebody to supply the food, and also because it's kind of a good strategy to keep people over here, keep like bringing like grandbabies over here too, and like make a welcoming place. And I actually was just talking to a couple of my sister-in-laws recently, saying how it's, of course, it's like I want it to be a place where if they're busy, if they had to stay up all night with the baby and didn't have time to make supper, that they have a warm meal over here and they can spend time with their family. They don't have to just go eat out, and because they live just 7 minutes away. Like, why don't you just come here and hang out? And I kind of think, okay, well, especially now, like I'm in the season where I could focus. I can give. That's something I can give to help. Like they can, and I love doing it. So, and we want to make this a welcoming place, or that's always been on our heart to make it kind of almost like a bed and breakfast,
Like a
or like
family center.
family center, and
Yeah.
to make it always welcoming, because otherwise people, I don't know, my worst fear is that people are gonna come and then there's like nothing to eat, or they're gonna have to fend for themselves, and especially like I don't really trust them to fend for themselves, like what they're gonna make. But
Well, and
But it's just so
never
sad.
going to be fruits and veggies.
Yeah.
It's never going to be the nutritious stuff along with.
Right.
And,
And it's not
if,
just like
if it's already hot, people want it.
Well,
It's
they
not
s-
very efficient either if everybody's like
Yeah.
getting out a pan and making their own, just
Right.
one order of eggs.
And
stuff.
honestly, it's a lot more stressful that way. People would think it'd be more helpful, but it's like it's a lot more dishes being made, or it's a lot more like chaos. It's like at least I know what mess I'm making. I know, and I can
Right.
clean it while I'm cooking something else. And
Right, it's so much easier.
and it's neat. I want to like
It
bring that
also keeps
flexibility.
you guys working. It
Yeah,
keeps you
exactly.
faster in the business, which earns more money for the business, which helps all of us.
Yeah.
So who are some of the guys who help with cooking? I know for different eras it was different people.
Luke started. He's the first one I trained to make very simple meals, just something you had to bake that was pretty much pre-made, because I had to be over. Our office was at another location at supper time. I was still there, and on the days I couldn't get back in time, he would make a meal, and I was impressed. He actually set the table. He did a wonderful job. I think he's kind of proud that he's doing such a grown-up thing. And then Jude, when we were building this house, he shocked me, totally shocked me, because Rick got so busy with work. He was going to be the general contractor, but he wasn't able to. He was so busy. I pretty much had to take over with a bunch of details, secretarial kind of stuff, not muscle. But I was pregnant with David, and Jude, he'd be back home, and from 6 o'clock in the morning till like 8:30 at night, I'd be gone. Of course, I had the baby in me, but he took care of the rest of the kids.
Homeschooling.
Did the schooling, he kept them up with the school, and did a good job with it. And then the cooking, and kept up with laundry. He made me look bad. He was tired. I mean, he was worn out, but he did what I do, other than the business part of it, really well. He did a real good job with. He didn't do fancy meals, but I mean, everybody was happy and content, and he was amazing. So hats off to Jude. He did a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really kind
That's a lot.
of plugged the gap there for those months. Just while it was kind of a key part during the building project where you need to be here more than normal.
I couldn't believe that he knew enough and was able to do that and handled. He's always been good with kids and discipline as much as needed, but not overdoing it.
He was
I'd
really
say
good.
out of anyone in the family,
He was really good.
Caught on to that really well. Some would be too rough, some would be too lenient, other ones just plain wouldn't notice, you know.
Sure.
And, you know, whenever I had to be away, it was very key to have someone who, you know, handle that position. He did such a
I
good
always
job.
thought he was, he felt like a kind of a second dad or mom, like, because it was really, because he would help us with schooling, and I always felt, I mean, it helped so much.
I know.
Very secure. We felt we didn't all feel like, oh, okay, because I knew you guys are busy building, but I never felt like, it's like, oh, we have another helper, another person to help us. Yeah.
We had promised earlier we would tell you the answer to the Thanksgiving question, the number of pies. And probably by the time you see this, it'll be just about when the actual pies for this year are getting made. I'd ask you off camera how many pies there were from last year. And do you want to give a drum roll in that number?
Well, drum roll. Last year we made 42. And we actually made 10 more than that, but we kind of messed them up. The coconut cream, I think one time somehow it was too much. I think it was too much the milk. Another time maybe too little. Maybe the two batches got kind of mixed up. But the funny thing is, you guys ate them all, and nobody complained. But it's like it wasn't right. It really bugged me. So I guess it's 52, but it would have been 42, except for the ones I would have discarded that still got eaten.
Yeah, actually, that's one of the only times I do
Oh, yeah,
some cooking.
that's true.
Not
cooking.
The night before Thanksgiving.
It's not cooking. It's no baked
pies.
pie.
These guys make it
technically,
awesome. One of the favorite pies, actually. Outside, maybe the coconut cream, and I would say the mud pies are the most special ones.
Yeah.
We never have too many of those.
I actually feel really honored because people have told me that mud pie is one of their favorites. And I got the term wrong. I said cooking, but I guess it's
not
baking.
No, it's not baking. It doesn't go in the oven.
Well, what do you call that?
You just mixing pudding.
Baking.
You're making
pie.
So
no bake.
So we bake
mud cake pie.
Yeah, so I'm pretty good at making pies.
Making
I made
mud
lots
pies.
Lots.
Of
Dozens, I guess, because we make a lot of the.
That's
we've
one
been
of the
doing
most
that
popular.
for how many years
15
now?
years or something like that.
Has it been
something
that long?
like that?
You guys wow. And they usually do it after I've done whatever I'm doing. Then they take over the kitchen to make their special ones.
Usually, we always do it at midnight or something. For some reason, we're already so tired from the pie day.
I know.
And then you're just out of it, trying to see what pudding mix is that.
No, I'm not much help either because I don't know where anything is here.
Right, yeah.
And I have to remember each year, okay, wait, what does condensed smell?
It's the only time he ever cooks. Well, makes.
Or doesn't
makes food. Makes
also,
food.
it kind of hurts your brain because you have to do a lot of math to figure out the multiplication because it'd be like, okay, we have to do 8 times 1 1/3 cups, and then we have to do such and such. And
suddenly math becomes important.
I think that at least I can help there because usually Mary Elizabeth is extremely tired by that time. If you look at some of our photos from over the years, she just kind of we always stand there triumphantly, and I'm usually pretty sharp. Because I'm kind of fresh from
the first time he's made any food in a year.
So, this is pretty fun.
This is fun. Why do you complain about
it? Maybe twice a year even.
So I think that's a great memory, and by the time you watch this, we'll probably be actively making it. So hopefully some of you got that right. Well, we better get to work. We have to kind of transform this kitchen here. We'll see you guys next time. Leave a comment or like and subscribe.